All right. Good morning. We're going to get started. Anita, I don't know if you know your camera is off. You probably know that, but anyways, there you are. Hello. All right, so we're going to get started. We're going to be standing at the end of the reformer down by the foot bar. If you can go to your universal settings and your one red spring, if you're I'm like 5'6". If you're a lot shorter than me and you feel like the foot bar ends up in your way, then you can put the platform underneath your feet and stand on the platform. But yeah, I think that's a good choice, Anita. Good. Okay. So we're just going to start by reaching our arms up towards the ceiling, trying to stretch the whole body into length. And then you're going to reach your arms up and over, feel like your sternum curves up and over, and you're rounding over the foot bar until your hands touch the carriage. Then you're going to allow your knees to bend a little bit, flatten your back out from tail to head. You'll feel your chest probably touch the foot bar. Step closer to the reformer, Ginge. Yeah. And then round your upper back away from the foot bar and then lengthen from tail to head through your upper back, and your chest will probably touch the foot bar again. And stay there, round and lengthen. You're kind of pumping open the thoracic, the upper back. The carriage, I think the reason it's not working, Ginge, is the carriage needs to be pushed out. You're pushing the carriage out. Yeah, and now let your chest touch the bar almost, or do let it touch, and then dome your chest away from the bar, rounding as much as you can. Then lengthen. You should feel from like the sits bones rolling up to the ceiling, some hamstring length and some movement through the upper spine. And then bring the carriage all the way back in, rounding your back as much as you can, kind of zombie arms to push down through the floor to roll all the way back up to standing. Do that once more, up and over the foot bar. You're trying to make like a horseshoe shape. And then you push out into the carriage. You can bend your knees slightly, let your chest and your upper back lengthen and round a few times. Lengthen, roll the sits bones up towards the ceiling, and think of it coming from the pelvis as much as it is coming from the upper back. So you're trying to open up the back of the legs, especially the upper part where the pelvis and the legs meet. And then stay in the long line with your carriage pushed out, and just bend and press the carriage out and in a few times. It's fine if your chest is touching the bar, but don't relax into the bar. Bend and press, bend and press. Shoulders should be way away from the ears. Draw your shoulders down your back. If you can't keep the shoulders away from the ears, then don't straighten your arms all the way. That looks good, and nice, Anita. Shoulders away from the ears. And then press the arms back out long, round the pelvis under, and roll yourself back up to standing. And then walk over onto the reformer, and it's light resistance. So feet against the shoulder rests, and shift your hips back, round your pelvis forward, lengthen through the spine, send your heart forward, then round from head to tail to bring your body back. So the carriage doesn't need to be perfectly still, but it's not moving much. Lengthen out, send your heart forward, open the chest, bow the spine, and then round and pull it back in. Do that twice more. Press the hips forward towards like the foot bar, so it's like your pelvis is trying to hit the foot bar. And coming back in. And one last time. Pelvis comes forward, lengthen, open over, and then round and come all the way back in. Good. Be careful as you stand up. You're going to have your toes tucked under at the shoulder rest. It's quite light. If it ends up being too light, we can always fix that. So like round back elephant, just a little push out and pull in. And I want you to feel As you pull in, that it's you rounding your ribs and your abdominals up into the ceiling, and that's what's making you pull the carriage in. It's not coming from the legs, really. So don't change your spine. Deepen your abdominal connection each time the carriage comes in. And round the back, rounding your back in. And then put your feet as flat as you can and your knees as straight as you can. Lengthen your spine as straight as you can and do the same thing. So it's kind of like your downward dog. Feels easier on the abdominals. Maybe you feel a little more opening through the back of the legs. And I think on this one, Anita, shift your hips back, push your arms. Yeah. Try doing it from there. Push, pull. Super light, again, focusing on opening up from the sits bones through the back of the hamstrings and legs, feeling like you're fanning open the tail. And the back of the knees are long. 2 more. And then bring your knees down onto the carriage and come to kneeling facing the side. Stand up on your knees. Of course, you can sit cross-legged instead if you prefer. Scooch away from the foot bar a little bit. Sorry, away from the back of the reformer towards the foot bar. Internal rotation. If that's too heavy, feel free to lighten it. Usually this one's a little easier for most people. So internal rotation, external rotation. So you're trying to feel like your elbow is staying still next to your side. You're trying to pull the arm in as far as you can towards your chest. Connect to the hips and lift yourself up nice and tall. Good. And then hold your hand in front of you. It should be pretty significant tension, meaning your hand's not out away from you. Bring that hand directly in front of the elbow. Reach the other arm up without tipping over, side bend a little bit, and then pull yourself back up to vertical. Keep your arm where it is, side bend. It's like you're trying to reach the ceiling, you're peeling off a wall. And side bend. And one more time, side bend, up and over. And then take that arm down the side, try to keep it where it is, try to touch the carriage as you side bend again, and then use your abdominals to bring yourself back up. Side bend towards the carriage. So keep this arm that's in the air, keep it up overhead. You're not bringing it across the midline. You're trying to touch a wall and then your body is peeling away from that wall. Yeah, it's just slightly different than taking yourself further over. One more time. Side bend, touch the carriage and return. Take the strap in the other hand and press your elbow out to the side, bring it back across. So as you're pushing out, feel like you're getting wide through the collarbones. If it's a little too tight or too much tension, scooch in slightly. Push out and in. You're trying to feel the shoulder blade on the back, so you're not letting your wrist kind of buckle into weird positions. You're keeping the wrist the same. It's the shoulder blade that's changing. Yeah, abduction. Good. Two more. And then sit down into a cross-legged position, still facing the side. Still, you've got this kind of heavier spring tension, like between 1 3/4 spring. Not 1 3/4 total, I mean between 3/4 and 1 spring. Hold on to the strap, bring the arms right in front of you. Hold that position, try to stop there, and then go an inch or so further. Stop right in front of you, rotate an inch or so further. So small range of motion, but trying to make it a little more focused on that rotation towards the foot bar. should feel heavy and like you can significantly feel that pull from the abdominals. A couple more times here. And last one. 4 times full range. Should feel a little easier just because you get a little bit more momentum into it. And then coming all the way back in, put that strap down, bring both legs on top of each other to the shoulder rest, like a mermaid position, one hand on the foot bar, the other hand on the carriage, and then push yourself out into a flat line, and then side bend up and over your legs. Press out. If that's uncomfortable on your top knee, you could always straighten it out over top the, yeah. So as the carriage comes in, you're trying to make yourself bring your head towards your shins. Flatten out as you push out, up and over, head towards shins. So as you go push the carriage out, you've got to shorten the bottom side of your waist, or else you're just constantly in this sunken rib position. So you've got to get to a long line. Yeah, there we go. Up and over. And just use the hand in front of you, however it helps you. One more time. Side bend and lift up and over. Bring your shins into the normal mermaid position, that Z sit, and go into twice mermaid with rotation. Set your hand down, slide the hand over, bend and straighten the elbows 3 times, pushing the carriage out and in, rounding through the spine, looking down at the springs. Then the arms straighten, you lift yourself all the way up into extension. You push the carriage back out, slide the back hand towards the front hand, turn to the side, lift up and over, big side bend towards the shoulder rest. And again, big side bend towards the foot bar, set your hand down, slide the hand out of the way, round through the spine, kind of like that hawk position. 2 and 3 times, then straighten the elbows, start to look forward, lift your chest up, push the carriage back out, side bend, and rotate to the side, lift up and over, side bend towards the shoulder rest back of the reformer. Good. Then take your legs through the shoulder rest. You can cross them if you need to. Make sure there's a hand's distance behind you. You can always add sitting on a platform, which the strap, the same strap we were using a second ago is the only strap you're going to use. So just the one strap that we were using before. Put it in the opposite hand. If it feels like the strap is going to be too long, you're welcome to fold it over. But just start by pulling and rotating through your upper body. So rotating towards the back corner of the foot bar, feeling like you're pulling yourself into rotation. So it's that row motion of the shoulders. Try not to sink into it. You're vertical. Lift up and around as you pull. Up and around and pull. And 2 more, just row, return, and row and return. Reach the other arm out in front of you. You're gonna let this arm just respond to how you're moving. You're gonna round the pelvis under you. Feel how it moves the carriage a little bit. Don't tip over. Look towards that hand and rotate towards it. And then sweep the arm back up. And you sweep the arm back a little bit like oblique roll back to one side. And you scoop and come back up. Then combine that. So you do a row, you return the carriage, round the pelvis under, and return to sitting to row again. And use your breath to help you move. Try to make it one continuous motion, trying to create opposition with the legs. So as you reach the legs forward, you sweep the arm back and it gives you more counterbalance. One more time. Row, return, oblique, roll back, and return. Take the strap in the same hand as the strap originates from. So if it's the right strap, it's in your right hand. And one arm plow. So roll your shoulder open, feel wide across the collarbone. Palm can face in or forward. Should feel heavy, sitting up really tall, wide across the collarbones. You can also hold on to by grabbing the strap and turning the palm forward. Yeah, nice. And then take your arm up higher towards airplane. You're not gonna be probably able to move very far because it is heavy. Instead of switching your springs, alternate between these two motions. So you try to press out to the side. It's okay if it doesn't go very far. And then you go back down to your plow. And out to the side, sit up really tall and press back. As long as you feel the back of the shoulder and the armpit, then you're good. Press back, reach forward, out to the side. Reach forward. Don't worry about it being so big. Feel like I'm probably moving 4 inches in the airplane. If it's a few inches, you're good. Yeah, nice. 3 and 2 and last one. And then setting that strap down, stand on the side of the reformer, add 1 red spring, push the carriage out in your single thigh stretch, open across the front of the hip, then try to stretch your foot away from you further so the front of the hip lifts off the carriage, and then you try to set your whole thigh back down. Then bring the carriage back in. So you press out with the knee down, you reach out to the knee lifting, try to set the whole thigh back down and bring it back in. One more time. Push the carriage out, press into the leg more to lift the thigh. Try not to drop your chest and collapse your arms. You should be able to take your hands off and not just fall over for a split second. Yeah, that was good. Set your thigh down and then come back in. Good, climb back onto the carriage. Take your extra red spring off so you just have 3/4 or 1 spring wherever you were working before. And you're gonna lay on your side, facing me. I mean, facing the same side we've been working on. If it's not me, then that's okay too. Put your top foot in the loop. Arm is on under the head so you're comfortable. Instead of propping your head up, try to point your elbow forward and let your head be part of your neutral spine. Lift the bottom side of the waist a little bit, and then alternate between leg going forward and back and leg bending and straightening. Sweeping the leg forward and back. It's heavier than we sometimes do this, so we're not gonna do as many reps. You might have to reduce your range of motion a little to control it, especially with the straight leg. And bend in, press out, straight leg forward and back. 2 more, bend, stretch, straight leg forward, back, and bend. And then hold the leg out on the diagonal in front of the shoulder rest, flex your foot and circle your leg in front of the shoulder rest so you're not hitting yourself in the face, kind of like your heel is reaching towards the corner of the foot bar. Turn your knee and your toes slightly down so you emphasize the hip and reverse. Good. And then bend your leg in, take your foot out of the loop and come up from here. And we're gonna turn around to face the other direction, starting kneeling. So once you're kneeling, take the strap in the shoulder rest or the back hand, internally rotate and externally rotate. So you're bringing your hand across and then opening it back out. As you do this a couple times, trying to feel like you're controlling the carriage. It is heavier than you're maybe used to doing it. There's only 2 ways to get stronger. Increase the resistance or do more repetitions. So I'm definitely trying to push the spring tension a little bit on some of these exercises you've done a million times. One more time. Hold the hand directly in front of you. Reach the other arm up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're peeling off a wall and then you're coming back up. The carriage might move an inch, but it doesn't move a lot. Side bend, pull yourself back up. Side bend and come up. And side bend and come up. Couple more. And then reach that arm down towards the carriage. So you're side bending, you're trying to touch your hand to the carriage and then pull yourself back up with your obliques. Pull away from the vertical line and then draw yourself back up it. Pull away from the vertical and back to vertical. 2 more. Side bend, pull yourself up, side bend, and pull yourself back up. Take the strap in the other hand, and then you're doing that abduction motion. So this motion where you're pulling your elbow out to the side. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Everyone's doing the right motion. Good. Elbow goes out to the side and it comes back across your body. You can kind of fine tune the resistance by moving the carriage, moving on the carriage towards the shoulder rest. If you want it to be a little lighter, or towards the foot bar if you need it to be a little heavier. Stay wide across the front of the shoulder. Feel like the shoulder is staying back and connected into the back of the ribs. Couple more here. And then bringing yourself into a seated position. Try to put the awkward leg forward. If you have an awkward leg, sitting cross-legged, put that one forward just to kind of even yourself out. Hold on to the strap, bring the arms, rotate the torso to bring the arms directly in front of you. And then keep the arms in front of the sternum as you rotate a little bit more. Stop right in front of you. Rotate a little more. Stop in front of you. As you do this a couple times, trying to connect into the abdominals, should feel heavier than you're used to. I'm on 3/4 spring. You can try that if one spring is too heavy. Try to stop when your arms are in front of you. Last 2. And then take full range. 4. And use a little momentum. 3. Use the abs and momentum. 2. And last 1. And then put the strap back on the shoulder rest. Bring both shins up against the shoulder rest for the kind of lean mermaid where both legs are stacked on top of each other. The outside hand is on the foot bar. The other hand is on the edge of the carriage. You flatten your torso out and then lift yourself up and over in a big side bend, bringing your head towards your shins. Do that a couple times. You're trying to lengthen both sides equally and then come up and over into a side bend. And lengthen out and up and over. 3 more. However it feels good, trying to feel like you're lifting into the side bend, not just kind of sinking. 1 more time. And then untuck your bottom leg. So you're in your Z-sit normal mermaid position. Side bend towards the foot bar. Set your hand down, slide the other hand out of the way. Bend and straighten the elbows 3 times. 1 and 2 and straighten a third time. Start to look forward, push down into the bar to lift your spine back up, round the spine to press the carriage away, slide the back hand towards the front hand, turn to the side, lift yourself up and over, and side bend towards the shoulder rests. One more time like that. Side bend towards the foot bar, set your hand down, slide the hand out of the way, bend and straighten. On the third one, you keep the arms straight, you start to look forward, lift your spine, and press the carriage back out away. Slide the back hand towards the front, turn to the side, lift up and over, side bend towards the shoulder rests, and come back up to sitting. You can turn to face towards the back of the reformer. Try to cross the other leg over. If you have a favorite leg, it's probably the other one on top. Make sure there's a hand's distance behind you. Hold on to the strap with the opposite hand. So the same strap we were just using, that's the one you're using now. And you do that row, trying to turn and look and rotate the torso towards the elbow. Yeah, nice. You can fold the strap in half. You can hook 2 fingers in that D-ring, whatever helps you. Yeah, sitting up really tall. Allow the ribs to rotate. One more time. Then hold the strap, reach the other arm forward, round your pelvis under, let yourself round and lean back, rounding through the low spine, turning and looking towards the long arm, and then stack back up. So like oblique roll back to one side, try to get the pelvis moving, open across the front of the hips, rotate the upper body, hips stay forward, but you rotate the upper body. Rounding, opening the arm, sweeping back forward. Round and open the arm and sweep back forward. 2 more. Just getting that going. And then we'll add our row to that. So rotate and return and oblique roll back and sit up tall and rotate. Return, oblique, roll back. Rotate, return, roll back. Nice. One more each position. And then take the strap in the same hand as the strap is coming from. So probably the hand away from the camera. And then plow, pressing your arm back, wide across the collarbone. Arm is just sweeping back as far as it can go. It is heavy, so it doesn't have to be very far. And then I want you to begin to alternate between airplane, where the arm is a little higher. It's okay if you move an inch, and then the plow will feel easier. Airplane a little harder, lower the arm, plow a little easier. The shorter you're holding up onto the strap, the heavier the spring tension is gonna feel. So you can put your hand in the loop is probably the best. Yeah. And one more of each. And then return, set that strap down, stand on the side of the reformer. You can add 1 red spring, so you have either 1 3/4 or 2 full springs. Push the carriage out into a big lunge. Stretch that back knee open. Lower your thigh down onto the carriage. Return the carriage. Make it a kind of circular motion. So you press out. Open the hip to lift the knee. Lower the thigh down. Bring it back in. Press the carriage out. Lift the knee. Lower the thigh down. Bring it in. One more time. Press out. Stretch the knee long. Lower the thigh. And pull it back in. Take your extra red string off of there and lay on your side with the armpit kind of around the shoulder rest, hand under your head, top foot in the loop of the strap, press out towards the corner of the foot bar, and then alternate between the leg going straight forward and bending and straightening. Trying to find that connection right into the sit bone so the leg is staying parallel and it's tracking well. And leg goes straight forward, presses towards the corner of the foot bar, bend and straighten. Two more. And one last time, leg goes straight forward, presses towards the foot bar, bend in, press towards the foot bar and small, like basketball sized circles in front of the shoulder rest so you're not hitting yourself in the face. Knee and toe pointed slightly down. And then reverse 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then bend your leg back in. Take your foot out of the strap and sit all the way back up. Switch to 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 springs. 1 1/4 will be a little bit more work. You're gonna put your hands on the foot bar and step up into that elephant position we were in a little earlier. So high half toe, round back position. You're gonna this time lift one leg behind the shoulder rest and just hover it back there. Push out with one leg and then pull it back in. So you're just trying to keep your leg still, go into one leg, pushing, your back stays round the whole time. So try not to be in a kind of plank-ish position. Try to really round the spine up, yes. And then as you bring the carriage in, lift the back leg. As you press it out, lower. Press and lift. Lower and lift. So the legs are going towards each other as the carriage goes out and away from each other as the carriage comes in. If you would like to try a few more with the foot flat, go for it. Little bit more hamstring length required. Keep rounding the low spine up. And one more time, and switch sides. Should feel like lots of glutes and hamstrings. So hold the leg up into a hover, push the carriage out a little bit, round and pull in. Push out, pull in. Push, pull. And then add the leg, lifting as the carriage comes in, lowering as the carriage goes out. Try to keep pressing through both arms. And then if you transition to the flat foot, go for that on this side. I think the flat foot is harder feeling to me, but you have to have certain hamstring length in order to even give it a shot. Should feel like a lot of standing hip work. Two more. And last one. And then set both feet down. If you can put your heels flat, then that's great. Round your back up towards the ceiling. It's going to feel pretty light. Push the carriage out as far as you can, keeping the heels down, and round and come back in. As the carriage comes in, feel like you're trying to round your back so much your head almost meets your knees. Probably it's not going to, but you're not losing that as you press out either. So some of you are flattening to push out. Try to stay round. Your head stays in that same kind of tuck, and you tuck a little bit more. It's not literally coming from your head, it's coming from your spine, but sometimes knowing where our head is helps. Good. 2 more. And when you're done with this last one, set your knees down. You can either be kneeling or sitting cross-legged, but we are going to be, if you're kneeling, it is a more risky kind of position. So let's start with ourselves sitting onto our heels so you're not going to tip over. Grab the straps in your hands after you switch to a half spring. So it should feel pretty light. You may need heavier springs than this, but 3/4 spring will be pretty good. Yeah. And then if you feel like you've got the balance today, you can tuck the feet under, find your balance vertical through the torso, and press the arms forward. This isn't a great direction to tip over in, so only do this if you've faced other directions kneeling. Yeah, nice. As you return the carriage, make sure that you're not losing the connection of the back of the legs, of the abdominals. Then press the arms forward, hold them there, open across the collarbone and close. You can either do this with the palms facing up the whole time, or you can round your arms like hug a tree or second position, opening across the collarbone. Pinkies go towards each other and away from each other. Wide across the collarbones. 3, 2, 1 more. And then lower your arms back down. From here, sweep your arms forward, press your arms up above you, and go into your tricep presses. Bend and straighten. You're vertical, you're pushing through the arms. Should feel like just as much core as it does triceps. Try to go in a full range at the elbow so you fully bend the arms, press to straight, fully bend, press to straight. Last one. Straighten the arms all the way overhead and then sweep the arms carefully back towards the hips and bring yourself back down. Good. Put the straps back. Switch to 2 red springs. And lay on your back. And you're going to put your feet in the straps. Once you get your feet in the straps, press your legs out to your start position out over the foot bar. Rotate your legs turned out. And go into a few big leg circles. Whatever range feels good to you. You can play around with trying to feel that same feeling like when we started standing and rolling forward, that you're sort of fanning the sits bones open as the legs go up to the ceiling so that you're lengthening the hamstrings. Reverse your direction, stay turned out, circling around. Good. One more. And then press the legs out onto the diagonal. Bend your legs in like a diamond frog shape. Try to flex your knees and your hips significantly, like as much as you can. And then take the heels apart. So you're in still this frog position, but your legs are apart. And then push out towards the corner of the bar. It's kind of like a second position. Bend and stretch. So you're turned out, your heels are kind of wide apart towards the corners of the bar, and you're pushing out and in, your back is staying the same. A little harder because you have to manage each leg independently, and you don't have that squeeze of the heels together. Trying to keep the legs in the same position in terms of their distance from the midline. So then bend into that wide frog position again. Open one leg out to straight, open the other leg out to straight. Bend the first leg back into the frog, bend the other leg back in. So the carriage isn't moving, you're opening, opening, bending, bending. Switch which leg initiates so that you're going back and forth. Open, open, bend, bend. You should feel like you're working the back of the legs and the inner thighs to hold the carriage. And then press the legs back out towards the corner of the foot bar. So then you're gonna bend in, open, open, bend, bend, press back out, bend in, open, open, bend, bend, press out. Do that a couple times. Whatever you can make of it. Should feel like some inner thigh, adductor, hip work's happening here. And then take both legs to straight at the same time, bend both legs at the same time, press back out over the foot bar. Bend in, both legs straighten, both legs bend, you press out. The carriage is still on that open close of the legs. The heels are still apart, wider than the hips width apart. I know some of you like inner thigh work, so hopefully you feel something. Good. Try to keep the heels the same distance from the midline the whole time, until they straighten, of course. Last two. And last one. Push back out over the foot bar. The legs are straight. You're still wide apart. You're gonna keep coming back to this position. You're gonna open your legs into a big wide V, keeping the legs straight, then press back into that second position, legs apart, position I just mentioned. So you go wide apart, you stop when your legs are in that start position, which is not all the way together. Yeah, don't bring your legs all the way together. Stop when your feet are, I don't know, it depends on how wide your shoulders are, but at least shoulder width apart. Shoulder width apart, really wide. Shoulder width apart, really wide. Shoulder width apart, really wide. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rotate your legs to parallel, bring them all the way together. 4 leg circles in parallel in each direction to finish this up. Keeping the sacrum down. And reverse. And then you can bend your legs in, take your feet out of the straps. You can put the straps right away in your hands if 2 red springs works for you. If you need lighter than 2 red springs, then feel free to sit up and adjust your spring tension for your arms. And once you're laying on your back with the straps in your hands, start with your arms down by your sides, elbows bent, legs up to tabletop, and just bend and straighten the elbows a few times, pushing the arms long, trying to maintain your imprint. If you'd like, you can add One leg extending and bending as the arms bend and straighten. You could also do both legs if you feel ambitious today. Good. One more each leg. And then keep the legs tabletop. Reach the arms up to the ceiling. Press the arms down. Lift back up. And then open out to the side. Push towards your hips. Back out. Lift up to the ceiling. Push down to the hips. Lift up to the ceiling. Open out to the side like a T. Press out. Come back in. And try to smooth out that transition between when things get harder and when things are a little easier. Good, keep going. Yeah, nice. Good. One last time. And then you're gonna bring your hands to your hips. Of course, if you need to take a break, take a break. One arm is gonna go straight up to the ceiling. One's gonna go out to the side. It makes an L. Press back towards your hips. Open out to the other L. Press back towards your hips. Try to put equal weight in both arms so the arm that's going up isn't doing all the work. If you wanna add the opposite leg extending, you can. Opposite of the arm that goes up. I think that'll feel natural. So see if that makes sense. Or just keep the legs together in tabletop. Last 4, 3, 2, and last 1. And then come all the way back in, take the straps in one hand, roll off to your side, and put the straps back on the shoulder rest. Good. And from here, we're gonna put the foot bar down, just down 1 notch, I think we'll do it. And we're going to come onto the carriage. Your 1 to 1.5 springs should be good. Heavier is going to be harder to move, but it gives you more support. So for example, I'm going to do 1 1/4 springs, and you probably will be 1 spring. See how this works. So put the L of your hand, your thumb against the shoulder rest so you can't slip. Put 1 set of toes on the foot bar and then push the carriage out. If that feels really heavy already, then lighten your spring tension. Yeah, make sure that this makes sense as an exit strategy, that you press out. And if you had an emergency, you would set 1 knee back down like you are right this second. If you'd like, try to take the other foot to the foot bar, find your plank. When you want to take a break, set 1 leg down. And find your plank again, no droopy pelvis. And you could do a little push, pull of the arms. Push the arms away, pull them back in. Push away, pull them back in. Do that a couple times. Push out, pull in. Push out. Think imprint a little, Ginge. Oh, that's worse. The imprint now. Your butt's in the right height, but you've got to imprint so it's not sticking out and flex at the hips. I know it's hard. Okay, try that 1 more time, 1 last set. Push out with 1 leg. Connect your abs, lift the other leg up. Hold or little press and pull. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set 1 leg down, set the other leg down, and rest your knees down. You can round your back for a second and just kind of hug your legs in. Good. Then we're gonna Add probably at least a quarter spring, so it's just a little heavier. Put your hands on top of the shoulder rests and then stand up on the carriage. You'll put your feet, first one on the foot bar and see if you can push it out and then come back in. So your back leg is straight. The one on the foot bar is straight. The leg on the foot bar is straight. It stays straight and the carriage is all the way in against the stopper. Straighten the back leg, there we go. And then see if you can push the other foot out onto the bar and come out into your plank. Push the carriage out, lower your hips to push the carriage out. Yeah, that's good, Anita, just lower your hips. Yeah. And then set one foot back down on the carriage. And you're just gonna try one more. We'll build on this next time. Step one foot into your plank. Push your carriage out a little, find your plank, hold. Lengthen through the spine, and then bring your foot down or knee down and rest back down. Good. Put the foot bar all the way down. Switch to a half spring. Put the platform over the springs. And carefully, especially important on these light resistances, that you step up on the platform first, one foot and then the other against that gap, and press the legs out and pull everything back in. Bend your knees, pump the leg out, pull it back in, straighten the leg. So alternating between side split and carriage leg pumping. Let's do twice where you pump the carriage out and once where your legs are straight. So you come down, you pump out 1, 2, and straighten up, squeeze against the stopper. And squeeze against the stopper each time it comes in. And as you stand back up, press out. See if you can go a little further because you have lighter springs than you're used to. Pumping twice. Squeeze against the stopper, push out, pull back in. Last time like this, pumping out. Squeeze against the stopper. Then just a few times in a row, all the way out and all the way in, straight legs, side splits, pushing out, pulling back in. Each time you come back in, you're trying to not bounce against the stopper, you're trying to control it. One more time. And then come all the way back in. Step onto the platform to turn around to face the other side. And starting with your arms and legs pressing apart, come back in. Once you're in, squat and pump the carriage out twice. Squeeze against the stopper as you straighten back up, press out and pull in. Squatting down, pump 1 and 2. Squeeze against the stopper, trying to not bounce like I am. Squeeze against the stopper and pump. Couple more. And last 2 sets. Out and in, down, pump and pump. All the way in, squeeze to stand, press out, come in, down, pump, and pump. Then side splits, just pushing out and in, straight arms and legs, a few times in a row, trying to feel like your inner thighs are pulling you back in. You're not just using your body weight to bring the carriage back in. Two more. And then standing onto the platform, turn towards the carriage. We're gonna, remember it's very light, but we're gonna finish the way you started. So reach your arms up towards the ceiling, scoop up and over. Try to set your hands down on the carriage. If you need to bend your knees, you can. Stay there a second. See if you can round your back a little bit more. Not really trying to go anywhere right now. And if you can, push the carriage out a little from the arms and pull it back in. Each time it comes back in, try to round your back a little more. If your knees are bent, that's totally fine. Pushing out a little, opening the sits bones. If you can just touch with your fingertips, that's fine too. It's probably heavy enough, it doesn't matter. And then bring the carriage all the way back in. Draw down on the back of the pelvis to roll yourself up to standing. One more time, reach the arms up and over. Round up and over a picket fence or up and over the foot bar like we did earlier. Lengthen through the upper spine, then round the upper spine. Lengthen through the upper spine, round the upper spine. Totally fine if you need to bend the knees. Yeah, nice. And then bringing the carriage all the way back in. Drop the back of the pelvis to roll all the way back up. And then turn to one side to step off the back of the reformer. Good job. You guys are all done. I hope you feel a little more mobile